Hello and welcome to a character discussion about Invincible Versus. This isn't a video I normally do, but I have a lot of thoughts about the potential character roster for this game. And the more I thought about it, the more I wanted to discuss with people. Don't worry though, this won't be one of those guessing videos people do. I will be using words of the devs from interviews, some old game development knowledge when I used to do at uni, and some basic, good old fashioned logic. Now, I'm going to use one of the ranking templates that, is all the craze. So we start off with confirmed characters. So these are the 8 characters they've shown off so far. Very likely, which are going to be the characters which I'll be utterly amazed if they don't add them. Likely to the sense of, there's a good chance, but there's some potential that they won't be in, or there might be DLC. Got not likely, or a bit obvious, and highly unlikely is basically my thoughts on characters who are, how to put it, I'll be incredibly surprised if they end up in the game for various different reasons. So the first question is, how many characters will there be in this game? Although they haven't actually given us an exact number, we have been given a ballpark. So in the interview that I saw written out, I think they also said it again in the video one, we've been told that they have more characters than people would expect, and it's between 15 and 20. Now, I personally think 18. There's multiple reasons for this. First off, when you give a ballpark like this, people will want the upper end. You'll be giving yourself an instant negative press if you later reveal that it's going to be on the lower end of the ballpark. Secondly, 18 is divisible by 3, which is important as this is a 3 versus 3 game, so it makes sense to have complete groups of 3 characters, like a squad almost. Additionally, as this is a versus game, it makes sense to have equal good and bad characters. So you will have like 3 squads of 3 of villains, and the same for heroes, and that just makes it a perfect number system for that. Unless the ballpark is because they don't know how many characters are going to get finished on time, the rest are going to be DLC. I don't know, but the 18 thing makes such logic to me. Now, hold on to the team's idea, because that's going to have impact throughout this, about how I think who's going to be in it. Now, one last thing to mention before we start is that one of the interviews stated that the majority of characters are from the animated series, not the comics, but a little bit is from the comics, as a series has not got there yet. So I think how they're saying it, like it's going to be series 4 characters, which series 4 will be coming out around the same time as this game, if I remember correctly. So I've pulled up a couple of characters from the comics who I know for a fact, and how timeline is going to be, they'll definitely play a part in series 4. And I think when I was writing some notes for this video, for example, this guy Dinosaurus got confirmed to be part of series 4. So, because how they've phrased it a little bit, I don't think we're much. It might be 2 characters, I would say, maybe at most a series 4, and the rest are going to be series 1 to 3 characters. And don't worry, I'm going to discuss some comic-ish characters, I'm not really going to make... There's going to be some tiny spoilers maybe, but we're talking about the minute kind of ones. I don't really want to spoil any of the comic story for people if you only watch the show, which I completely understand. So I guess we'll start with the confirmed characters. So the only problem is it's pushed them all out of order. So we got Invincible. We got Invincible. We've got Omni-Man. We have Amiv. So starters straight away, they're going to be the obvious three. You couldn't have an Invincible game without them. So there's no real explanation needed. Rex Blood makes sense. He's a quite popular character. And he had quite an important impact on the story. And I think if we're going to do teams, for example, Team Invincible would be Invincible, Atom, and Rex Blood, like they showed in the initial trailer, would make sense. Because he does become quite good friends with Invincible in the Series 3. So it makes sense to have that as that squad. Additionally, I think Rex will have a bit more of a different playstyle to other characters, so that makes him a bit more entertaining. So, one which was not particularly high on my expected list was Battle Beast, but I'm quite happy to see him here. It gives you the slow, powerful character, which we do need some of them in this kind of game, when you feature a lot of fast Viltrumites and stuff. So one character I was very surprised to see was Fula. Because, you know, she doesn't play much of a part. She comes in, scares people and gets her jaw smashed in. So I was quite surprised to see her, but at least the fact of the dagger hair kind of gives her quite a bit of different kind of combat style, which we definitely see in the trailer. So although I was a bit confused by her addition initially, the fact of the different play style doesn't, but makes it perfectly fine for me to give it. It's always nice to have some variation in these kind of games, because I find from quite a lot of the close-up, I don't know what the official term is, close-up 2D fighters like this game, you end up with far too many similar characters which play mostly the same. So good to have a bit of different fight style. But Lucian was even more confusing for me, because he isn't anything very different. He's just another Viltrumite, just a standard attack. We haven't actually seen him play out on the website. They don't even have him on the confirmed, but he is on the initial trailer. It'd be very weird to have like this squad of 3 and this squad of 3, and then you don't actually have him playable. So he's definitely going to be in it. Maybe I think I remember in the show he did a bit of grappling, so maybe they might have him do a bit more grappling moves to try to make him a bit more different. But I don't know, I know he has more appearances later in the series. You know, you saw him not die, admittedly. So I guess it's nice to have him here, but I don't know, just have all the character slots you could use. Were they really that desperate for villains? I don't know. And the last confirmed character was Bulletproof, which is a strange choice, because I doubt many people can really remember this guy. I mean, can you remember 3 scenes where he isn't just a background character? Good luck at that. He's going to probably get more time in the game than he will in the show. And so far, from what I saw the footage, his fight style is fairly standard. It's just another brawler. He has a cool little finisher, but that's it. I mean, it just, of all the people, I mean, were they just trying to fill out, you know, a cheap, by cheap I mean cheap resources, because you could reuse because it's got the same wireframe as Invincible, so they probably can reuse the wireframe, reuse some animations from other characters, and so it's just more of like an Echo character in Smash Brothers kind of thing, if you know what that is. So maybe that's why they got him in. It just, I don't know, if I would only put him in if I had a bigger roster. If I had like 20 plus roster, maybe I'd add him. But that is it. That's our confirmed characters. Only 8 so far. But considering that we still got a good 6 months or so before this game comes out, they've got quite a bit of time to reveal. So, I guess we start with the discussion then. So I guess we might as well get it out of the way straight away. The original Guardians, and as cool as I think a lot of people would be to play as original members, let's be fair, especially if you're going by, TV, they're very short-lived. 1 episode, and we have so many more characters with so much more screen time, so much more development, because they are talked quite a bit about the game story, so it looks like there might be quite a focus there. It's going to be quite hard to do that with characters you've had very little development with. I mean, if the game was more based off the comics rather than the show, I could see it more, because you obviously get more time with the original team before they are brutalized. So, unfortunately, I think they're going to be here. Now, obviously, the individuals, Immortal obviously is there, so that'll be later on discussion. You have Green Ghost, who, let's be fair, her abilities would just not really work really in the fighting game. Darkwing, we've already got Darkwing 2. Basically, a lot of characters here are going to have the same kind of move sets as some of the characters we're going to discuss later on. The only exclusion to that is Red Rush. And I think that's what most people said when they talked about original cast. They want like, oh, Red Rush, Red Rush. So that's the only difference there. Maybe DLC, but at the moment, at the very least, for the base game, especially, highly unlikely, in my opinion. So, first off, I guess for our very likely is Alan. And that probably should go without saying, that he should definitely be in the game. You can't have an Invincible game without Alan the Alien. He is far too important, and and he's also far too popular. Even if this game is just focusing on, defending Earth from invasion rather than, going through the universe and saving the world, saving the universe from the Ultramite Empire, even if it's just Earth, he should still be there, because he would still come and defend Earth. And if they didn't put him in, you would lose a lot of points with the fan base. Even if you want to be super cynical of like, oh, this would be an easy like DLC win, to have, oh look, DLC character pack will have Alan. I still think there's the initial loss of potential sales at the beginning due to negativity of not having Alan in the base game will not offset the potential sales for DLC for adding him in. So I can't see him not being in the game. So, who to go on to next? Who to go on to next? Well, we'll get, Armstrong out of the way, and we'll just go straight away. Another very likely character. How to put it? Mainly because he's both a very important villain for the series, for season 3 mainly, has quite a big impact on the story, and if you don't want to focus on the story, it makes sense to have him. He would also have quite a bit of a different play style to others, with the balls going out, the portals, whether they're going to utilize the portals, I can't see how they won't be able to some degree. He'll be quite an interesting character, and I think it'll be quite fun to play as. And we do need some human villains, because my mindset is, with the teams, we're gonna have, we're gonna have the Viltrumite team, which we've already got proven. I think there should be a we're gonna have space villains, which I think Battle Beast will be part of, and then I think there might be human villains, which Amston will be part of. And on the heroes, will be Team Invincible, Guardians of the Globe, and then Allies. And that's kind of how my mindset is going for the team. So I think Armstrong will be one of our human villains. I mean, I can't see you not having him in. It's too important to the story. So, who should we... what about Cecil? Cecil and Donald. It took me a second to remember what that name was. As much as people love to see him in the roster, let's be fair, it's not going to happen. You couldn't convincingly have them fighting the other characters. Additionally, how are you going to do a move set for him, really, which is convincing? Does he have to constantly summon other characters to appear beside him? Yeah, it's just not gonna happen. As much as people I've seen in the comments going, "Oh, we should have Cecil," but it's like, if we really thought about that, how are you gonna have him fight? So I guess the comment there would be, Reaniman. The question is about that. You could obviously have him summon these guys, but you could also have these as a I don't know. It'd be a strange choice to have the Reaniman. Probably, well, frankly, it'd be a waste of a character slot. But you could recycle wireframes and animations of the characters to make a quick and easy character. But the only reason I could see Reaniman being playable is, they wanted to fill out the roster to get a higher number of characters. It'd be kind of a desperate move, but I really hope they don't do it. I'm not going to put it 100% against them because I don't really know this team particularly well. But I'm still not convinced they'll be there. I guess another character worth mentioning. I guess as we're talking a little bit about the Guardians, I guess it's worth mentioning Amanda here, Monster Girl. When it comes to adding Guardians characters from the new teams, if you're going to only have pretty much 3, or I got Bulletproof, I'm going to be quite certain that I think it's quite certain, to be fair, that Monster Girl will be one of the playable ones. Again, she's very popular. I really like Monster Girl. And her moveset will be quite easy to make, really. Again, she's a fairly brawler, which were great for close quarters kind of thing. It's all melee based. So I can't see it being too difficult to make. So it's a fairly easy win to have her in. So out of that original team, definitely, not original team, but the newer Guardians, I think it's definitely a must. I guess another new one would be Shrinking Ray, our different variant, I guess, for the anime. Sure. Obviously, if this was a comic version of the game, then they definitely wouldn't be in it because they'd be dead. But I do not think she'll be playable. I think she's gonna be stuck with Cecil here, unfortunately. Because let's be fair, as cool as the shrinking ability is, that's more. If we're doing an open world Invincible game where you're playing as various different characters, completing quests and missions, this is something that would work. But for a fighting game, just imagine how hard it will be to constantly take into account the different sizes that she can be for moves. Then, if she shrinks down, how are you going to see her? If I can have like a little film like in Smash Brothers, when you zoom out really far and you get like the little magnifying glass for the image of the person and where they are. It's not really going to work in such a close quarters fighter. And let's be fair, how would you balance it? Her ability is more about going really small, getting inside someone and expanding and being really brutal. How are you going to really balance that? You don't really actually see much of a moveset from her, really, in the show, even. It's just become very small and then get inside someone. So, as much as people would like to see her, just try to imagine how difficult it would be to make her. So, unfortunately, she's relegated to pretty much not a chance. And then, I guess I might as well at the same time talk about Shapesmith. Now, as a little bit more Tolan, he would be a fun character to play. Just imagine, just like randomly turn into things. You could open up so much creative movesets for the devs to be. You could just think of you with the dev to have to design a moveset for this character. You could have a whale of a time. Be brilliant. But just imagine also how difficult it would be to develop that and to balance it. And due to the abilities, just to try to scale the crazy stuff into a balance, which I think they mentioned it might be like a competitive style kind of fighter. Yeah, it'd be a nightmare. I'm not gonna completely toss him. Change of words. I won't completely write off him as a playable character. Maybe future DLC, possibly, but I don't know. I don't see it. Let's move on to, instead of doing all the Guardians at once, let's do a few other people. Let's do a few of the human villains. I think that'd be quite interesting. The Lizard League, the comedy teams who keep reappearing, and unfortunately, yeah, one of the major reasons I don't think they're going to be in this playable at the very least. They might have limited appearances in the story, but not actually fighters unless they have one of those like kind of thing. What was it? Tekken had at one game where you turn into like a side scroll and you beat up random goons. If you had the mode like that, I could see it, but because you couldn't really pick a member of the Lizard League, like, oh, I'll just have this one. Well, why would you have this one and not that one? If you're really going to add the Lizard League, you need to add a few of the characters. And let's be fair, most of the Lizard League characters would be pretty boring to play. Yeah, you're really going to... is anyone really going to really cheer over, ooh, you can play as the Lizard League? Probably not. And when you're doing a game on these kind of like a popular show like this, you want the characters people really want. So I guess, I'm just going to do a bundle here once. So I put the order here, but what this is supposed to represent is the mercenaries. The guy with the tapestry in his chest, his gay lover, is he the fire guy, the robot, and whatnot. There's a few characters, but all the ones which are hired by Machine Head, that's what, except Balbase, I guess. I just don't think they're going to be in the game. Simple as they have so little time in the series, even when they tried to do that little add-on sympathy episode for two of them. They aren't popular characters. Additionally, just a few of them I think would be quite hard to actually implement, like the fire magma guy, the robot, the size of it and the shape of it. It just it'd probably be too much effort to make these characters for very little applause. So, and you know, at the end of the day, especially got limited slots for your characters, are you really going to use it on these guys? Nah, you're not. You're not. And with that, I'll also quickly grab Mr. Machine Head. Now, although he is a nice little recurring character, at the end of the day, he's a comedy mastermind. He isn't actually a fighter. He just fires a gun and that's it. So it's just not happening. As much as we need more human villains for my little idea, the human villain team, he's just, yeah. you're not gonna do him. And unfortunately, I'm also gonna have to chuck in here Mr. Lou into highlight it. Now, as cool as it would be to be able to turn into a dragon and bite the head off some Viltrumite, it won't work. The dragon's massive. It is far too big. And his movements, attacks just won't, how he like moves around to attack things, just won't work with this type of fighting game. The only way you could really implement this character is if you had like a Naruto style fighting game, you know, the kind of 3D arena, and you had like the boss battles in that. That's where that would work. So unless they add like a little 3D boss battle thing, which I doubt doing because it's a small studio, it's just not gonna happen. Once again, this is another character which would be great for a different style of game for Invincible, but just not for this type, for versus. I think we should probably cover a hero, so let's have a, yeah, let's have a look at Black Samson here. So, you know, I'm torn on this actually, because I do like the character, but you know, I feel like he'll be too much like other characters. Like, how much difference is he going to be to Alan, to the other Viltrumites, to the other? He's just another brawler, really. He has a little bit of like the shock powers, I guess, but I think he fires energy blast a little bit, but he's mostly focused on brawling, from what I remember. But it would be also a very good way of getting an original member of the Guardians in the roster, you know, as people want them, so it'd be a good way of doing that. And to be fair, I would think him more likely than Bulletproof. If Bulletproof wasn't in that confirmed list, I would say, oh yeah, we'll probably need one of the two. I'll resist a joke there. But I'll put him unlikely for now. But I'm not highly convinced about his necessity. But at the same time, easy to develop. You know, and they might want some original Guardian members there. I guess talking about original Guardian members, the Immortal. I think it's fair to say we're probably going to get the Immortal. I think it's fair to say he's going to be there in it. He's just too important of a character for him not to appear. Yeah. Although once again, I fear he's going to samey. He fights like quite a lot of these other characters, you know, just flies and punches and kicks and doesn't do much else. His fighting style is kind of generic. So I do hope they think of some kind of creativity to kind of make him a little bit different from the others. But I am fearful of that's one of my major fears for this game, is how many characters are going to feel same. And they've shown off a bit of variation here with, like, you know, on the confirmed of Rex, Atom, Batman Beast, and even Flula a little bit. But are they showing us all the different characters and not having much of the samey characters? I guess it would be only fair, you know, after talking about Mortal, we talk about his wife to be Duplicate, who I don't remember her being as unlikable character in the comics. I find her far more unlikable in the show. Very up her own rear end. Now, as much as people would love to see the playstyle for Dupe, I don't think it's likely we're going to get her. As fun as it would be to use her power in a fighting game, you know, sending out all the duplicate clones and doing things where when you punch this one, another clone comes out to do another punch, that clone disappears. Although do her clones disappear? I'm not sure. You know, etc. And doing like kind of crazy things. You could think of some great ideas, but at the same time, it just won't work for this style game. If this was a 3D arena fighting game, like I mentioned about the Naruto games, then you could let loose with your creativity. You could have loads of fun. I mean, those games actually had them, like the multi-clone kind of system already there. You can make a great move set for it. But as this, again, as I mentioned before, it's an up-close 2D fighter. It would make a move set very difficult for Kate. At the very least, they will... You know, I feel like they might want to give it a try. You know, like they'll have to like restrict her powers quite a bit. You know, I mean, I can see them really wanting to put her in, but I just can't see how they're gonna balance this. So unfortunately, I won't completely write her off due to the fact of I can see him trying to do it in some kind of limited scale. I guess I might as well mention multi-port, yeah. Same issues as Kate, except for he's even more unlikable and even more unpopular. They're not even going to bother. Unless they actually finally do manage to get Kate in and they make it, instead of, you know, like, I don't know how their costumes are going to be in this, because they could do, as well as costumes, do skins. And it's like they add duplicate in, they could do a skin with it, which has its own voice lines. I think they did that in Mortal Kombat, and you know, it's multi-pole, and that'll be a way to get him in for very little cost. We'll see. Guess it'll be fair to go back to some villains. Let's do a bit of Viltrumite and Nisa, the universally most hated character from the series. And if you've only watched the show and you've never seen the comics, ooh, now this is going to be an interesting landmine or minefield. And I wonder if they're going to do this in series 4 or series 5. I hope it's in series 4. If the timeline is what I think it's going to be. I'm really curious how they're going to do Anissa in this series. I mean, they're obviously not shying away from violence, but certain types of violence. Either way, if you only watch the show, you have some interesting things potentially coming. But anyway, for that. Obviously, as I just kind of hinted there, super, super important to the Invincible storyline, to the characters. Incredibly important. Now, admittedly, we have already 3 Viltrumite villains. Do we really need another one who also will be a standard brawler? You know, I still think she's likely to be here because of her importance to the story, but again, as they're focusing on the show, and I don't know how much series 4 is going to have her in, or I don't know I can't remember whether it'll be how timeline goes, whether it's going to be series 4 or maybe beginning of series 5 or something like that. So it really depends on that. I think she might be just a DLC character. That would make more sense to me, that instead of base character, she'll be DLC. Especially if the game comes out before Series 4, and then I do a DLC after the Series 4's ended, And they go, here's multiple characters, you know, and they include characters who are quite important to Series 4. Maybe. Who else could... Well, might as well, we're going to talk about Viltrumites. We might as talk about Conquest. Now, obviously, this big brute gave us a great finale to Season 3. And obviously, he'll be in later series as well. Now, his playstyle probably similar to Battle Beast, a slow, lumbering brute. And so far, I don't think we've got many characters which will fit that kind of heavy brutish category. So, and I can't think of any as who would fit that. So it makes sense to have him to fill out another heavy role section. But again, same reason as Anissa, I am torn. Would he be in the game with more, you know, how many Viltrumite villains do we need to fill out the villain side of the characters? I'm not sure. I might have to just put him likely again. Yeah, I'm very torn because we have, you know, Lucian and Fleming. Oh, again, why? I mean, just unnecessary. He'll probably at least be in DLC. If he's not in base, he'll be in DLC. I think that's a given. At the end of the day, I think a lot of the characters here will depend on recycling, how much they require to recycle wireframes and animations. Who to cover next? You know what? Let's get him out of the way. Let's get good old Damien Darkblood. Now, I really love the Demon Detective. Obviously, if the comic version of him is crap and he's just a little quick joke and he's gone. He's an idiot and everything that. Obviously, in the series, they made him a lot more intelligent, a lot more entertaining. And they obviously are creating an original storyline with him in, which was planned for the comics, but never actually implemented. And now they're going to implement it in the series, which would be quite cool. And he is in Series 4. That's been confirmed for us. But the problem is, we've never seen him fight. We've never seen him fight. We've only seen him as a detective. I think for the base game, he's not happening. Would you really fill out a character slot for this guy who was only briefly in the first series? That's it. He never had a fight scene. I don't know. I think what will probably happen if they do a series 4 like DLC bundle kind of thing, like I mentioned earlier, he'll most likely be in it. Because if you're gonna have him again as a plot line in series 4 with the demon invasion or whatever it's gonna be, we'll see him fight, and therefore they'll then have a move set for him. So I'm gonna put him in highly unlikely for now, though. Ooh, you know what? Let's stuck on the villain. Let's choose one of our human villains. We definitely need to fill out the human villain team here. And Doc Seismic, I think, will be quite a good one for that. You know, I do want him to be in a game. As you know, as I mentioned before, the human villain team, but also he's had multiple appearances in the show. He actually posed a genuine threat to the heroes. And the gameplay wise, you could make him quite effective moveset on the ground and in the air. You'd have a nice bit of variety, and you know, it's more all projectile based rather than melee. So it'll definitely help with the variation of playstyle. So I'm going to put him very likely. Now that might be slightly controversial, but I think it'll be quite a loss or disappointment if we do not have him in the game. So this character might be a bit of a one. Most people might not know his name. Best Tiger. So you can't see very well. You probably can't But he was the blind gunman you see in the Hong Kong, fighting some villains in the, the invasion of all the evil marks. He actually normally appears in the comics later, but because he couldn't obviously have all the crossover heroes from other Image comics in the series, they had to bring forward a few heroes who appeared later on in that section. Some of them like side characters anyway. But obviously, Best Tiger and Tech Jacket were brought forward. For that's why they had no like prelude or prelude leading up to him being there. But he's actually quite an interesting character. Interesting character. Because again, just like Doc Seismic, he'll use mostly projectile attacks, and it will again help with that kind of variation of more distance fighter. We don't have many of them so far. But as much as I want him, he had very little time in the show. I mean, he had one appearance, and that was it. Obviously, he'll probably have more appearances in Series 4 if they follow along like they do with the comics. He's on my list of I really like to see him, but I don't think that's gonna be happening. And I guess another, as we mentioned him, Tech Jacket here. Again, another character who actually does become a really powerful ally of Mark. There's a little minor spoiler for you. And we saw how he took out Vulture. I think in the comics he kills 2, not just 1 of the evil marks, because there was a lot more evil marks in the comic. I think he kills 2 in the comic. I can't remember. Anyway, you see him quite easily take out one of them in the show. Let's be fair, it'd be quite cool to play as our kind of Iron Man stand-in character. You can have a lot of fun with the kind of lasers and gizmos and stuff. But again, brief scene. He was only there for that one scene. It depends on how much he's going to have in Series 4. He's definitely in it from, I think, I've seen, but he might again just be another short appearance. So as much as I love to see him, I don't think it's happening. Who to pick next? So, about Dinosaurus. So here's a character that people who haven't read the comics will know nothing about. And I think he is one of these characters mentioned about. They're going to be getting some characters from Future on, and I think this is going to be it. He is in Series 4, it's been confirmed. And I believe that Dinosaurus will be there. I think he'll definitely be a playable character. As one, he's a different type of character. He feels like that kind of monster, other type of villain role. We mentioned that before, and that squad idea of him with Battle Beast, maybe. So him being quite vastly different to others in appearance and how he moves and stuff will add a bit of nice difference to this, the aesthetics and the gameplay, I guess. But one of the key things, which, without saying why, he is very important. He's quite a recurring character, actually, a villain, but he's also very important to Mark's character development. He's very important to that. It's a key aspect in Mark's story. I don't know whether they're going to do the full dinosaur story in Series 4 or whether they're going to have a little bit in Series 5. Don't know. But he's definitely going to be in Series 4, and they've mentioned a bit about him, so it's definitely going to have a bit of an impact on it. And yeah, he's going to be quite an important character, so I think he's definitely going to be here in this game. I'll be quite surprised he's not. Who else? Well, I might as well cover Mr. Powerplex. So, I originally was thinking very likely for Powerplex, as you know, this member of the human villain team, and I pegged him as the Blanca of this game. But I then remembered the key aspect of his abilities: any damage done to him powers him up, which obviously is not going to work so much. So, maybe they could make Powerplex still take damage, but as a charge bar when he does, which lets him utilize different skills, so like he gets more dangerous as he gets lower health, which would be an interesting character and different style. But especially when it's a more smaller budget game, would you create a whole mechanic just for one character? And obviously, if it's a bigger budget game, yeah, I've seen fighting games do that. Smash Bros. Mainly, I think. But they could still put him in the game and ignore the damage absorption. So either way, I'll play different. I'm gonna put him this likely for now. It's a bit torn on it. So I might as well cover this one, as I mentioned all the other things. Titan. You know what? I think he'll be quite a good character to implement in the game. He can play both the hero role and the villain role in the storyline that they're doing. He's also fairly simple to create. It'd be very similar to the characters, but I think it'll be quite an easy character just for him to pump out. So until I see a lot more variation on the characters they show off, I'm gonna maybe assume that they might have a few easy characters for them to make to speed up development. Because making characters for fighting games is difficult and brutal. Okay, might as well cover him and get him out of the way. Oliver Grayson. Now, it makes sense for Oliver to be playable. I don't know how old he is. He's going to be in Series 4. So, if you remember, he ages rapidly. So, obviously, he gets to adulthood quite quickly. Once he reaches adulthood, his aging slows down a bit. Be nice to have another Viltrumite hero, but they're only going to have him in if they make him an adult, because I can't imagine any age certification board being particularly happy about a child being brutally killed. But we've seen the finishers. He would probably play quite similar to Mark, I'm gonna guess, if they did add them. Ooh. It really depends on how old he is in Series 4. I'm gonna, for now, I'm not sure whether he's likely or not likely. I'm very torn on this. I'll put him there for not likely for now. I guess we might, you know what, we'll cover the elephant? Would we say elephant? I'm not sure. Robot. This little bugger. I think he's a must. Let's be fair. He's a must. He's an important character in the show up to this point. He'll be an important character in later series. I think I don't even need to declare that as a spoiler because I think it's blooming obvious. Other than the Guardian of the Globe. So, we've got 4 here, but, so that he would probably be quite a fun character to play again, just like I mentioned with Tech Jacket with the whole gizmos, the Iron Man kind of aspect. There's a few character skins for him as well, if I remember correctly. I think he later on gets like a cool black suit. So some potential skins already there, because you're going to want to have unlockable skins. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a nice mix between physical and projectile. He's important for story. You know, a lot of people, I think, where's Robot? If we didn't have him in the game, so I think he's definitely going to happen. So we have, I guess, Darkwing 2, another way to have one of the more original members while not having an original member. Benjamin Taylor, I think his name, isn't it? AK Darkwing 2. Yeah, he's likely to appear purely on the basis that they can make him play so much differently. You know, Batman style kind of pins, you know, the slingshots, boomerangs and crap. And also with the whole portals, being able to like maybe like have a quick like attack where portal opens up them and the dark beast flies out and flies into the portal. It's just like a hit damage, or you grab someone, pull them through portal, throw them out the other side. It does like a little bit of damage. You can have quite a bit of fun with that. You'd be playing with portals. And I don't think it'd be too difficult to do the portal stuff. So I'm going to put him here on the very likely. And again, as I mentioned before, you could do the skin thing and have original that. I mean, actually, don't think they look any different, actually, to be fair. But, you know, that'll be a good one to play as. I guess this will be one of the elephants in the room if you've not, you know, read the comics. But she is in Series 4. This is being confirmed. She's not a huge character, like, villain who appears, but this would fill out my of like otherworldly villains list. You know, I've got Dinosaurus, I've got Battle Beast. This is my third one. And also my second character I think of who's going to be future series, who they're going to implement in the game. Now those two slots I mentioned. So yeah, she's going to appear early in season 4, so she'll definitely be around when the game comes out. I think that's going to what's happen. I think that's roughly where the storyline is. And I'm going to put it highly likely, very likely, because she's a very powerful foe who uses a magic staff, and it'll be quite an interesting character to use. It gives a bit of variety to play styles, and let's be fair, it'll be nice to have another female villain to play as, because we don't really have many of those, really. So I think she's very likely. I don't know. I think a lot of people will probably disagree with me on that one, but it'd be quite cool to see in either way. You know what? I just had the quick thought of a character. Give me 1 second. Oh, that was very annoying. I tried to add one more picture to Taylor's because I wanted to add a new character, and it closed the entire web browser down, and I lost the entire thing. I tried to put everything back in order. I might have put in wrong slots. I hope I didn't. Try to get it all back in quickly. I'm actually really annoyed about that. Just after I'm almost finished. But the guy I was going to add was Science Dog. And the reason I wanted to add this was because I've seen a lot of people go, we need Science Dog, we need Science Dog, we want Science Dog. It's not happening, guys. He's not even a real character in the show. He's a meme. He's a meme. He's just like, he's a comic character in the show. You know, not really going to use up one of the limited slots for Science Dog. Only way I could see him being in there is if they have him as a Paul DLC character. And that's it. It's not happening, guys. I'm actually really annoyed. I don't know where I put... I probably messed up some of these and put some of these in the wrong slot now. I'm really frustrated now. So I'll quickly get his last ones out. Now, you might not know who this is. This is War Woman 2. You saw her in the order as one of the big bosses. So there's a slight spoiler there. But, yeah, she's the Amazon woman at the table. So this woman... Now, it's not explicitly stated this in the show. In the comics, it explicitly states this, but in the show, it doesn't actually. So in the show, she's a business partner of War Woman. In the actual comics, it's confirmed that she is actually War Woman's girlfriend. and she kind of went mad when she died. She then apparently went and conquered Amazonia and decided to declare war on the world of men. Her moves will be very heavily weapon based, which kind of makes her quite a bit different from other characters. Additionally, they could use her for the story and also have an unlockable skin like the others and have to make it look like the original Wonder Woman, which will let them tick off those two characters in one go. But again, she's small, but you know what? I'm going to put her there likely, just in the sense of there's so much potential there you could do with her. And she is going to be in Series 4 because that's how the storyline goes. She's not a big character like Universal. She appears and then disappears, and the comics just forget about her. So the show might not, but it'd be interesting to have that. We've all got got Darkwing 2. We've got a couple of these characters returning like shells or appearances of the older Globe, Guardians of the Globe. So it'd be nice to have another one for the War Woman role, and again, it'd be a different playstyle. So I'm hoping. My final thing here is, although I've used Omni Mark, it's just it's all the evil marks. Yep, simple as that. The evil marks will probably appear, but there will be skins. I don't know why some people want them to be separate characters. I mean, I guess you could do like more crazy or more aggressive evil kind of moves. But let's be fair, at the same time, when you only know you only have up to like 18 characters, are you really going to want them to use up a slot for just an Echo fighter, essentially? You want it as a skin, you might want it as a smart skin where you have a different voice and everything, maybe. So obviously, there are other characters I could have mentioned this. I know there are obviously those heroes who replace the image characters who couldn't be done in the evil mark scenario. Some of them died, some of them didn't. They're just there. They're not going to happen. Simple as that. There's a Cape Squad who we saw briefly. The lady with the big punching gloves and the guy with the blue cape and whatnot. That's a team who will have more appearances as the show goes on. I think I had the confirmation that they actually are in the next series. That's the Capes team, Capes Inc., whoever it is. Yeah, I still don't think they'll be in it because maybe it's DLC again. They'll probably be DLC, but I don't think they'll be in the base game, at very least. And the other thing I think of is Craig, another Viltrumite, who again has more importance later on. But we have enough Viltrumites as it is. I mean, we've definitely got at least 3. We might have more, might have up to 5. So I don't know. It's like if you come from like all these ones here, and they're very likely I've got another what. So I've chosen 10 here, so that'll be 18. There you go. We already have Team Mark. We have Viltrumite. We have one Monster Villain and one Guardian of the Globe. So Monster Villain, these two here. My human villains, which are here. We got Guardians of the Globe here. I guess the problem is you're going to have 2 sets of allies, which are mostly Guardians of the Globe as well. But, see, I think I've balanced that out quite well, actually. Not even really thinking about it too much there, but I've got 2 sets of heroes and 2 sets. Yeah, I've got all needed there. I mean, Robot, you could have play a few different roles. So that's my thoughts on it. It's a bit of a ramble. I'm a bit annoyed that the whole template absolutely disappeared. I mean, I probably messed it up a little bit. But it's more or less, I think this is some of the more likely as scenario. Let me know though below if there's any characters who I've put maybe lower down this list, especially if it's down here, if you actually think they're definitely going to be in a game. give me a reason why, though. You know, not just like you like the character, but you know, think about how logically they could implement said character in the game. Anyway, thank you for listening to my rambles. It's not something I normally do, these kind of discussion ones, but you know, I had a lot of thoughts on this game, so I decided to do it. So hopefully some people get some enjoyment out of it, or some thoughts. Anyway, enough rambling by me. Until next time, goodbye.